Hello, everybody. My name is Kenneth Morales. This is my signature assignment. How psychology helps shape my thinking and applying it to a global problem, cybercrime and insecurity. So to begin shaping understanding of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So my initial understanding of the human psyche and behavior was rather simplistic, perhaps even naive. Like many, I assumed that the average individual operated predominantly on a plane of rational thinking, making choices that were direct results of their desires and necessities. This belief stood unchallenged until my immersion into the fascinating realm of psychology during my senior year of high school. In essence, psychology has been a transformative journey, offering me a more comprehensive lens through which to view human behavior and the world at large. It has taught me to appreciate the layered complexity of human thought and action, making me more patient, empathetic, and thoughtful in my interactions and self-reflections. So, the influential concepts, depth of human emotion. Before my engagement with psychology, emotions like happiness, sadness, anger, fear seemed pretty straightforward. Now I understand them as intricate tapestries woven through a myriad of threads, memories, societal expectations, physiological responses, and even genetic predispositions. Emotions are not just reactions, they are multifaceted experiences influenced by a combination of internal and external factors. Subconscious influences. I became aware of the vast subconscious sea that lurks beneath our conscious thought process. The idea that decisions could be swayed by factors beyond our immediate understanding was both unsettling and intriguing. For instance, learning about the mere exposure effect, the idea that people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they're familiar with them. It made me question many of my so-called choices. Uh, then there's cognitive biases. Recognizing the presence of cognitive biases was a true eye-opener. Concepts like confirmation bias, where individuals tend to seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms their preconceptions, reshaped how I consume information and form opinions. This realization has made me more critical and open-minded, constantly checking my innate tendencies to ensure a more balanced view of the world. Uh, Impact of social dynamics. I was intrigued to learn how much of our behaviors are influenced by group dynamics and societal norms. The experiments highlighting conformity and obedience, like the famous Asch and Milgram studies, shed light on how societal pressures can shape individual choices, sometimes pushing them against their moral compass. Um, Past experiences and conditioning. Um, Delving into theories of conditioning, I became acutely aware of how past experiences shape our present behaviors and reactions. Simple actions or choices could be traced back to deeply rooted experiences or learned behaviors from our past, making me more empathetic and understanding of the diverse reactions people have to similar situations. Um, the fundamental attribution error, I found this one very fascinating. Um, the FAE signifies our human tendency to overly emphasize inherent personality traits as reasons for observed behaviors in others, sidelining the influence of external situational factors. Uh, so, for instance, consider a situation in traffic. So, a person might immediately label someone who cuts them off as inconsiderate or reckless. However, the FAE reminds us to consider external factors. Perhaps the driver is in an emergency or they just made a mistake. Awareness versus action. Challenge arises when understanding the FAE and acting upon the understanding diverges. For instance, a study by Long and Butler showed that participants who were educated about the FAE continued to exhibit this bias, indicating that mere awareness does not guarantee behavioral change. Um, the bias blind spot, it's a paradoxical scenario wherein individuals can easily identify biases in others, but believe they are immune to the same biases. Um, Cronin and the colleagues in 2004 explored this phenomenon, illustrating a common human oversight. Um, Potential negative consequences. Overvaluing personality traits can be detrimental. For example, evaluating prisoners' behaviors without considering situational factors can pave the way for severe consequences like prisoner mistreatment. Conversely, solely basing trust decisions on positive perceived traits, such as assuming someone is trustworthy because of their confident demeanor, might result in overlooking their genuine motives. Um, the power of education. Proper education can serve as a substantial counter to FAE. Stadler highlighted that structured education reduces the FAE's prevalence. Various teaching strategies, including engaging interactive sessions, analyzing real-world scenarios, and even leveraging educational video games, have proven to be impactful in combating this bias. However, an educational gap persists as many individuals only receive a superficial understanding of the FAE through informal sources, which may lack the depth needed for genuine comprehension. So concluding, the insidious nature of the FAE underscores the difficulty in completely eradicating it. While awareness and structured education are pivotal for steps, they may not be a panacea. It underscores the need for continuous research to strategize how to integrate this knowledge into our daily behavioral practical. And then, so the next is the global issue, cybercrime as a societal problem. And we're going to look at this from the perspective of an individual living in a developing country, facing economic challenges and tempted to engage in cybercrime due to the lure of quick financial gain. For context, we'll consider the example of the Yahoo Boys in Nigeria, who are a young Nigerian uh, group that engage in cyber fraud. These individuals, often well-educated, undergraduate, with digital skills, are tempted towards cybercrime due to various factors such as high employment rates, a lack of legitimate economic opportunities, and a pervasive cybercrime subculture. Major challenges. So some of the major challenges, growing global challenge with the rise of the internet. So as the internet skyrocketed, so did the probability of cybercrime. So DDoS, or distributed denial of service attacks, are pretty common forms of disrupting business operations. Such attacks flood systems with data, making them inoperative. Consequences include financial loss, data breaches, and damaged reputation. The impact on small business owners, the e-commerce site could be offline for days, could result in lost sales and clientele, incur additional costs for hiring cybersecurity professionals to address the issue and bolster defenses. Some of the misconceptions are that these are highly coordinated syndicates or mafias, as some have called them. The reality is that most might be decentralized. They use platforms resembling legitimate online services, and their adaptability complicates the process of identifying and thwarting attacks, especially since most are anonymous. So the psychological impact on individuals, anxiety and fear. Victims of cybercrime, such as identity theft or financial fraud, often suffer prolonged anxiety and fear concerning their personal security and financial stability. They develop trust issues. Victims might develop mistrust towards digital platforms, impacting their ability to engage in online activities fully. Guilt and shame for the individuals lured into the the limelight of cybercrime, like the Yahoo Boys. They might experience guilt and shame due to societal and familial expectations, especially if they had promising alternative careers. Um, and then, of course, there's the financial stress. Both victims and perpetrators face financial stress. The victims may suffer from financial loss, while the perpetrators, despite potential short-term gains, live under the constant threat of arrest, leading to long-term economic instability. And then isolation. Both parties might feel isolated from society. Victims might feel embarrassed, making them reluctant to share their experiences, while perpetrators might distance themselves to hide their activities. And so the schools of thought and how they pertain to cybercrime. The three I chose were cognitive psychology, behavioral psychology, and social psychology. And so cognitive psychology is a branch of psychology that studies how the human brain works, specifically focusing on processes such as thinking, memory, and learning. Cognitive psychologists, also referred to as brain scientists, investigate how people acquire, perceive, process, and store information. They utilize advanced tools like magnetic resonance imaging, MRIs, to visualize the brain in action and understand its response to various stimuli. The insights from cognitive psychology are not only vital for enhancing our comprehension of the brain's functionalities, but also have practical applications across various professions and industries. In clinical settings, these psychologists address and treat cognitive disorders and challenges such as memory loss, perception difficulties, and speech issues. Um, Cognitive psychology, which delves deep into understanding how the human brain processes information, has significant implications in the realm of cybercrime and digital insecurity. As this branch of psychology studies thinking, memory, and learning, it can shed light on human behaviors and vulnerabilities in the digital space. So, for instance, understanding how individuals perceive and process online information can help identify why certain phishing scams are more effective than others. By employing advanced tools like MRI, cognitive psychologists can examine the brain's response to potential cyber threats or deceptive online content, providing valuable insights into designing more user-friendly and secure digital interfaces. Moreover, as these professionals delve into issues like memory loss and perception difficulties, they can aid in developing training modules to enhance users' awareness and resilience against cyber attacks. So, in essence, by bridging cognitive psychology, its understanding of human cognitive or cognition with cyber realities, we can work towards a more secure digital environment. The theory I chose was the cognitive load theory, and how this relates to cybercrime or its or the implications on cybercrime. So, as CLT offers an insight into our mental performance during the COVID-19 era, these insights can be linked to an increase in vulnerabilities related to cybercrime and digital insecurity. Developed by educational psychologist John Sweller, CLT postulates that our minds function as information processing systems, relying on a finite working memory. This memory is strained when encountering unfamiliar tasks. In the pandemic context, many have had to adapt to new digital tools and routines, increasing their intrinsic cognitive load due to more tasks necessitating conscious thought. Moreover, emotions, notably anxiety from pandemic-related stressors, can further reduce working memory capacity, complicating digital tasks. The concept of extraneous cognitive load refers to the drain from non-essential distractions. As individuals grapple with the heightened cognitive load, they may be more prone to oversights, like skipping security protocols or falling prey to phishing scams. In the constantly shifting pandemic environment where rapid adaptations to new technologies are requisite, understanding CLT becomes crucial in comprehending and counteracting increasing cyber vulnerabilities. And the next one was the behavioral psychology. And behavioral psychology, often coupled with cognitive psychology, focuses on understanding and altering human behavior based on scientific research. So since the 1960s, this approach has gained traction with a surge in literature and the launch of dedicated journals, the first being Behavioral Research and Therapy in 1963. A pivotal tool for assessing the efficacy of these interventions is meta-analysis, a statistical method that consolidates data from multiple studies to derive stronger conclusions. Over the past 15 years, various meta-analyses have evaluated the impact of cognitive and behavioral treatments on a wide array of psychological disorders, from depression, schizophrenia, and so forth. Collectively, these studies involving thousands of patients consistently underscore the effectiveness of cognitive behavioral strategies across diverse issues and populations, reinforcing the robust scientific foundation of this specialty in applied psychology. And the theory under this school is observational learning. So in the digital age, online platforms magnify observational learning. When someone encounters a video or post detailing hacking methods or hears about a successful cybercrime, they experience the exposure phase of observational learning. Retaining this knowledge indicates the acquisition phase. While not all viewers will resort to cybercrime, the exposure makes them potential carriers of harmful digital knowledge. One crucial aspect is the vicarious consequences. If cybercriminals prosper without facing repercussions, it might suggest that cybercrime is a lucrative and low risk. On the other hand, observing criminals or cybercriminals get penalized might act as a deterrent. However, cyber insecurity isn't always about the act of crime. Sometimes passive observational learning leads to vulnerabilities. For instance, if individuals notice peers using weak passwords or sharing personal details online and face no immediate threat, they might adopt similar habits, increasing the risk of breaches. Given the vast reach of digital platforms, good or bad behaviors are spread rapidly. This emphasizes the importance of digital literacy and promoting ethical online actions. To mitigate the threats, leveraging the principles of observational learning is vital. By broadcasting positive digital behaviors and highlighting the consequences of cyber misdemeanors, a safer online environment can be nurtured. So in conclusion, understanding observational learning's impact on cybersecurity is essential in our interconnected world. Harnessing this knowledge can pave the way for a more secure digital future. The third school is social psychology. And social psychology delves into understanding human interactions. By examining the influence of interpersonal and group relationships, social psychologists explore how these dynamics shape human behavior. Our self-perception and how we relate to the world greatly influence our actions and beliefs. This is intricately linked with the opinions of others, which can significantly sway our behavior and self-view. Through studying these interactions, social psychologists offer insights into interpersonal relationships, aiding in improving these connections. Notably, their research enlightens our comprehension of how people develop attitudes towards others, and in instances where these attitudes are detrimental, like prejudice, they offer mechanisms to counteract them. The breadth of social psychology is wide. While it delves into understanding how social influences, perceptions, and interactions impact individual and group behaviors, it also has practical applications. Social psychologists can be found evaluating the efficacy of intervention strategies in educational setups, assisting businesses in hiring and training, devising ways to mitigate pollution, or offering solutions for conflict resolution. Uh, Given the vastness of their expertise from research to applications, social psychologists find themselves in varied professional settings, from academia to private corporations, government offices to nonprofit organizations. Their role, depending on their specializations, can range from research into marketing, politics, and even technology design. Now, when we consider the realm of cybercrime and insecurity, the principles of social psychology become profoundly relevant. In the digital age, people's attitudes towards cybersecurity, influenced by their interactions and the opinions of their social circles, can either bolster or jeopardize individual and collective security. Cyber behavior, akin to other social behaviors, can be swayed by social perceptions and pressures. By understanding these nuances through the lens of social psychology, strategies can be crafted to promote better cyber habits, awareness, and resilience against cyber threats. In the theory, social identity, or SIT, was developed by Henry Tedfeld and John Turner in the 1970s. At its core, SIT explores the ways in which individuals classify themselves and others into social groups, and how this classification influences their behavior and interactions. So key components of SIT, social categorization. So people tend to categorize themselves and others into specific social groups based on shared characteristics such as race, gender, nationality, profession, or any other defining trait. This helps simplify the environment and aids in predicting the behavior of oneself and others. Social identification. Once individuals categorize themselves as part of a specific group, they adopt the identity of that group, taking on its norms, values, and behaviors. Social comparison. So individuals compare their in-group, the group that they identify with, to relevant out-groups. This comparison is often biased with a tendency to favor the in-group over the out-group. This favoritism strengthens the individual's self-esteem and sense of belonging. So the implications of SIT on cybercrime and insecurity, such as the in-group favoritism in hacking communities. Cybercriminal communities, like any other social group, can display in-group favoritism. Members of these communities might share tools, techniques, information with in-group members while withholding them from outsiders. This solidifies the bond among group members and may make cybercriminal operations more efficient and potent. Us versus them mentality. This can be seen in the world of cybersecurity, where ethical hackers, white hats, see themselves as defenders and guardians of cyberspace, while viewing malicious hackers, or so-called black hats, as the outgroup or adversaries. Such a dichotomy can intensify the competition and conflict between these groups. Recruitment and radicalization. Criminal groups might exploit social identity constructs to recruit and radicalize individuals by emphasizing perceived injustices or biases faced by the in-group. They can fuel negative sentiments against out-groups, compelling individuals to act against them, which might manifest as cyber attacks. Anonymity and group dynamics. These anonymous or the anonymous nature of the internet can amplify social identity effects. People may feel more emboldened to act in ways that conform to their online group norms, even if those actions are illegal or unethical. This can escalate cybercrimes as individuals feel a stronger bond to their online identity and group. Cyberbullying and tribalism. SIT can help explain the phenomena of cyberbullying and online tribalism. where individuals may harshly defend their in-group, for example, fans of a particular celebrity or followers of a specific ideology, and attack their perceived outgroups, leading to online conflicts and harassment. Security measures and trust from an organizational standpoint, understanding SIT can help in developing more effective cybersecurity measures. By understanding the social identities of users, organizations can predict potential threats and design systems that foster trust and collaborate, reducing insider threats. And finally, we have solving the global issue. So, how psychology theories contribute to my understanding of the global issue and how it impacts diversity, equity, and inclusivity? Well, modern psychology theories provide valuable insights into the nature of cybercrime and its implication on diversity, equity, and inclusivity. The concept of online disinhibition, for instance, suggests that people are more likely to behave impulsively online due to anonymity of the environment. This can contribute to targeting specific marginalized groups, exacerbating existing prejudices and biases. Furthermore, the theory of digital identity postulates that online personas can be disjointed from offline identities, allowing individuals to act out of target or act out or target others without feeling the weight of real-world consequences. This implies that cyber criminals might exploit individuals based on their perceived digital identity, which may align with their race, gender, socioeconomic status, further reinforcing systemic inequities. So what are society's contributions to the solution? Well, societal stakeholders are actively engaging in solutions to mitigate cybercrime. On the legislative front, governments are updating cybercrime laws to be more reflective of the evolving digital landscape, ensuring that laws are both current and comprehensive. Additionally, advocacy groups and NGOs are creating awareness campaigns tailored towards informing the public about safe online behaviors, with a special emphasis on vulnerable and marginalized groups who might be particularly targeted online. Tech industry leaders are also in a constant race to stay ahead of cyber criminals, investing in advanced security measures and technologies to keep their platforms and users secure. And how can I make changes? Well, I can stay updated, continuously educate myself on the latest cyber threats and preventative measures. This not only shields me, but also enables me to inform and protect others. I can prioritize data security, so adopt best practices such as using two-phase authentication, regularly updating software, and employing robust antivirus solutions. And I can also use my voice by reporting any suspicious online activity or cyber incidents to the relevant authorities, can help curb cyber threats and aid in their prevention. And of course, just engage collaboratively, support and engage with organizations or community groups focused on digital safety and cybersecurity. Through collective efforts, society can build a safer digital ecosystem for all. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.